Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Wednesday, March 10, 2021. CNN report. Roblox goes public and is instantly worth more than $40 billion. Investors weren't making the trademark "oof" Roblox death sound Wednesday. Shares of the popular video game platform debuted on Wall Street and promptly surged more than 40% to $64.50. Valuing the company at about $42 billion, Roblox describes itself as a metaverse where players can make their own avatars and environments to play in, such as virtual theme parks or scuba diving. Roblox is an amazing community where people are creating together, said Roblox CEO and co-founder David Baszucki said in an interview with CNN Business Wednesday.
Al Jazeera report. U.S.-China to hold first high-level meet under Biden in Alaska. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet top Chinese officials on March 18 during a stop in Alaska, the State Department said on Wednesday, marking the first high-level in-person contact between the two countries under the Biden administration, which promised on Monday to air issues where there are deep disagreements. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan will join the meeting in Anchorage with China's top diplomat, Yang Jiechi, and State Councilor Wang Yi.
Fox report. NC woman tells America's Newsroom of shockingly discovering biological father on FBI most wanted list. After an extensive 4-year search, an adopted North Carolina woman shockingly discovered her biological father is William Bradford Bishop Jr., a fugitive on the FBI's most wanted list. Bishop is accused of murdering his 68-year-old mother, 37-year-old wife, and 3 sons, ages 5, 10, and 14 in March 1976, according to the FBI. Kathy Gilchrist, who was adopted as an infant, told America's Newsroom Wednesday that it took some time to track down her biological father, since he was an only child.
Fox report. U.S. prosecutors allege Honduras president helped move drugs. An accountant witnessed meetings between Honduras President Juan Orlando Hernández and a drug trafficker in which they planned the trafficking of cocaine to the U.S. Federal prosecutors in New York said Tuesday. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jacob Gutwillig said during his opening statement at the trial of accused Honduran drug trafficker Giovanni Fuentes Ramirez that the accountant was present when Hernández allegedly said he wanted to shove the drugs right up the noses of the gringos.
Fox report. Kylerittenhouse trial delayed to November, judge says. A judge on Wednesday set a new trial date for Kylerittenhouse, the 18-year-old from Illinois accused of killing 2 people and wounding a third during riots in Kenosha, Wis. Over the summer, pushing the date back 7 months until at least November. Rittenhouse's trial was scheduled to begin March 29, but Kenosha County Assistant District Attorney Thomas Binger said at a brief virtual hearing that he and defense attorney Mark Richards agreed they both needed more time to prepare, Kenosha News reported.
BBC report. Stutthof camp. Holocaust guard Harry S. found unfit to stand trial at 96. The man, named as Harry S., was accused of complicity in the murder of several hundred people at Stutthof camp. The court in Wuppertal said there was a high degree of probability he was guilty of the crimes. His is one of 3 recent cases related to the Stutthof camp, which was located in then Nazi-occupied Poland. Harry S. was a guard at Stutthof between June 1944 and May 1945. He is alleged to have overseen the transportation of nearly 600 prisoners to the gas chambers at Auschwitz-Birkenau camp in September 1944.
Deutsche Welle report. Brazil's Lula slams Bolsonaro's imbecile COVID-19 policies. Former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva slammed President Jair Bolsonaro on Wednesday, criticizing his successor's handling of the coronavirus pandemic and economic policies. Don't follow any imbecile decisions by the President of the Republic or the Health Minister. Get vaccinated. Lula, now 75, told reporters, in reference to Bolsonaro's vaccine skepticism and defiance of medical advice.
BBC report. Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill expected to pass U.S. Congress. The Democratic-controlled House of Representatives is set to approve the massive economic aid plan on Wednesday despite a lack of Republican support. Having already passed the Senate, the The relief package would then head to Mr. Biden's desk to be signed into law. This sixth COVID-19 bill would be a major legislative win for Mr. Biden. But Republicans in Congress have objected to the bill's price tag. They have called for various elements of the package to be smaller and more targeted, including suggesting stimulus checks should not go to people who have not lost income in the past year.
Deutsche Welle report. German lawmakers to grill Merkel over Wirecard scandal. On Wednesday, German lawmakers said they plan to question Chancellor Angela Merkel and Deputy Chancellor and Finance Minister Olaf Scholz about the Wirecard scandal. Wirecard filed for protection from creditors through insolvency proceedings in June 2020 after admitting that €1.9 billion supposedly held in trust accounts in the Philippines probably didn't exist. The one-time up-and-coming digital payment giant was also found to be billions in debt.
CNN report. Russia's Twitter crackdown ends up taking out government websites. Russia moved to slow down the speed of Twitter on Wednesday after the social media company failed to remove what the country's media watchdog described as prohibited or harmful content. The move comes after Russia vowed to act against social media platforms in the wake of protests in support of opposition figure Alexei Navalny. Officials warned they would take action against social media companies that didn't filter posts about protests that the Kremlin deemed as illegal or inciting people to demonstrate.
Fox report. UK police officer arrested over the disappearance of Sarah Everard, authorities say. A Metropolitan Police officer was arrested Tuesday over the disappearance of Sarah Everard, according to authorities. Everard, 33, a marketing manager, was last seen in South London on March 3. The officer was arrested in Kent and was taken into custody at a London police station, where he remains, according to Metropolitan Police. A woman was also arrested at the same location on suspicion of assisting an offender.
CNN report. Multi-year drought builds in western U.S. with little relief in sight. While much has been written this year about atmospheric rivers, avalanche warnings and even flash flooding, the western half of the United States is experiencing a crushing drought. The weather patterns have left parts of the Northwest soggy. Still, 80% of the land in the western states face some official category of drought. That is nearly half of the entire continental U.S. Or put another way, the size of New York State times 25.
CNN report. Saudi women's rights activist Louyan al-Hadhlul's appeal rejected by court. A Saudi court has rejected an appeal by prominent women's rights activist Louyan al-Hadhlul that would have allowed her to travel freely. Her family and supporters said. The 31-year-old was sentenced in December to 5 years and 8 months in prison on what critics have described as politically motivated charges, but was released in February after serving more than 1,000 days behind bars. She was appealing for her sentence to be overturned and a 5-year travel ban lifted.
Al Jazeera report. Ivory Coast Prime Minister Hamd Bakayoko dies at 56. Ivory Coast's Prime Minister Hamd Bakayoko has died from cancer in the German city of Freiburg, where he was receiving medical treatment, according to the government. His death on Wednesday came 2 days after his 56th birthday and some 8 months following the passing away of his predecessor. Our country is in mourning, President Alassane Ouattara said in a Twitter post. It is with great sorrow that I announce the death of Prime Minister Hamd Bakayoko, head of state, Minister of Defense, in Germany, as a result of cancer. He added, describing Bakayoko as a great statesman, a model for our youth, a personality of great generosity and exemplary loyalty.
Deutsche Welle report. India. Teaching of Hinduism books in Islamic madrasas sparks anger. The National Institute of Open Schooling (NIOS), an autonomous organization under the Education Ministry, announced that it has prepared 15 courses on Indian knowledge tradition. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal presented the new curricula last week, lauding India as a knowledge superpower in topics including Veda, ancient religious text, yoga, science, Sanskrit language, and Hindu epics such as Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita.
Al Jazeera report. Facebook asks U.S. federal court to dismiss antitrust cases. Facebook asked a United States federal court on Wednesday to dismiss major antitrust cases filed by the Federal Trade Commission (FTC) and nearly every U.S. state. saying they failed to show the company had a monopoly or harmed consumers by a one-vote margin. In the fraught environment of relentless criticism of Facebook for matters entirely unrelated to antitrust concerns, the agency decided to bring a case against Facebook. Facebook said in its response to the FTC complaint.
BBC report. Bada blast. Satellite images show Equatorial Guinea destruction. The official death toll has now reached 105, with at least 600 injured. Based on the number of bodies pulled from the rubble, says Human Rights Watch citing local observers. The actual number of victims is much higher. Images captured before and after the event show the scale of the explosion. Buildings inside the barracks were destroyed and people's homes in the surrounding area were also affected.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.